Hey friends, I keep hearing and seeing these videos of all these freaking douchebags that want to keep burning my American flag. This is actually a modification. This is a 3%ers flag. If you don't know what 3%ers flag is, basically it goes back to the Revolutionary War, where 3% of the American people fought the revolution. There may be a few more now. Hey, you want to burn the American flag, you don't like being on American soil, then nothing is keeping you here. I'm sure we could take up a collection to take your sorry ass to any communist country you want. You want to preach a bunch of anti-American crap, you go preach it on their soil, not here. Even though I was never deployed, I served during the Cold War. Okay, from 1983 to 1987. I heard the stories of what those people who were unfortunate enough to be born in a communist country, old communist Russia, communist Poland, the Ukraine, all of those countries. Hey, people born in communist China, Korea, Vietnam. Hey, people like me, we have nothing against the peasants who were unfortunate enough to be born into that society. Okay? We hate communist governments. You young douchebags out here who are always burning the American flag, thinking you're being cool. The Supreme Court said so. I don't give a damn. Supreme Court says so. You say, hey, we want to go to a communist country because communism's so wonderful. Like the people of the People's Republic of Berkeley out in California. Yeah, you sons of bitches, you always preach communism, communism. Well, guess what, douchebag? Nothing is keeping you here. You little douchebags always seem to have a whole lot of money. Go to the communist country of your choice. And you'll see why people do their damnedest to flee communism. They run from communism, not to communism. They run from communism. Sometimes they died in the process. You ever heard of Elian Gonzalez? You know where he was found? In an inner tube, floating in the ocean. His mother tried to flee communist Cuba. Okay, had nothing to do with the peasants of Cuba. Okay, it was the communist Castro regime, the dictatorship. How bad does it have to be for you to decide to get in a makeshift raft, go through 90 miles of shark-infested waters to try and get to this country? Nobody makes a raft and goes through 90 miles of shark-infested country to try and get to Cuba, to China, to Russia, to Korea. Nobody! You understand, you communist dumb bastards? You rich little stupid morons? I hate communism. I hate it with a rip-roaring passion. I hate it. I hate what it has done to people. You young stupid asses are too young to remember, okay? Like I do. I'm 49, okay? I served from 1983 to 1987 in the Army, okay? I remember hearing the stories, what's going on in old Soviet Russia, in the old communist countries. Some still goes on today. But when the government, their government, not yours, not the United States, that gives you $1,800 a month in food stamps for the more kids you pop out. No. They decide how much food you are going to eat a day. They dictated to you every bit of your life. You think communism is so wonderful? Go try it. Go try it. Okay? As I was saying a second ago, Elian Gonzalez was found in an inner tube by a fisherman. Okay? This was during Wild Bill Clinton's administration. Okay, he had family in Miami, Florida. When Wild Bill Clinton's administration wanted to take Elian Gonzalez back to Cuba, the Cuban people of Miami, Florida, the peasants, I remember seeing the film footage. They surrounded his house with a human chain. They said, hey, you are not going to take that little boy back to that hellhole. What happened? Under the administration of Janet, or not the administration, but under Attorney General Janet Butch Reno, yeah, they sent in the stormtroopers, and that little boy was taken at gunpoint with a gun to his face, a submachine gun to his face, was taken back to Cuba. And now he's been completely indoctrinated. He's in his early 20s now. He's been completely indoctrinated. Oh yeah, communism's wonderful. Bullshit. It is not. You know, I've told this story a few hundred times. Since I first heard the story in 1993, when I first started driving truck, I used to go to Miami, Florida, okay, when I used to work for Wilsie Bennett Air Fresh. Now on the dock there, we had some dock workers, okay. We had a couple of Cuban guys that worked there. One, his name was Javier. Javier had a twin brother. Looked identical in the face, except his brother was a lot bigger. Now Javier was an Army Ranger, was a former Army Ranger. His brother Ivan was a former Special Forces Ranger. That meant he went a little further, he went in the Green Berets. Now Javier was from Cuba. During an inspection when he was in the Army, a general officer who was doing an inspection asked Javier, so tell me, son, what made you decide to join the Army? He said, well, sir, that was my way of thanking this country for letting me be here. Good answer, son. Good answer. They had another man that worked on the dock. His name was Frank. One day I asked him, I said, so what made you decide to come to the street? What made you decide to come to the States, Frank? He said, well, when I was in Cuba, I was a farmer. I used to farm the land. And one day, some of Fidel's guys came to my property, and they had grease guns in their hands. For those of you that don't know, that's a slang for a submachine gun. And I was out in the field plowing one day, and he said, Fidel's guys came out there and told him, this is Fidel's land now, you have to leave. He said, wait a minute. I work this land. I farm this land. This land's mine. They said, you have two choices. Leave now or die where you stand. He said him and a couple of his friends built a makeshift raft and spent 3 days going through shark-infested waters trying to get to the United States. He told me, he goes, that's the way it is in Cuba. I served with a guy, Oscar Diaz, when I was in the Army. He was from El Salvador. And I'm not sure what town he was from, but this was in the early 1980s. And he said him and his friends were hiding on rooftops where they had these Salvadorian death squads that were going into these small little villages just greasing people. Not with, motor grease. I mean machine gun fire. They were just shooting everything that moved. And him and his friends were hunkered down on tops of roofs, going rooftop to rooftop, hoping not to be seen so they could get the hell out of there. He said that's the way it was in El Salvador. And that's why he came to the United States and joined the United States Army as a way of saying, hey, thank you for letting me be here. You little douchebags that want to get out here and support communism, you think communism is such a wonderful thing? You douchebags have no idea what the hell you're saying. You've always had your freedom. You've never lost it. Unless, of course, you went to jail or you went to prison. Okay? And even then, prisoners got some rights. Some. Not a lot. Some. Or maybe privileges, you might call them. Privileges. But you don't know, you sons of bitches don't know what it's like. The People's Republic of Berkeley, all these little douchebags out here burning the American flag, think it's the cool thing to do. No, it's not. A lot of men and women, a lot of people of all shades, okay, white, black, brown, red, yellow, people of all shades have died, okay, have shed their blood. Some have been blown to pieces. There ain't no pieces left of them anymore. That flag. For your freedom. For you to say the moronic things that you say. Go preach your communist bullshit somewhere else. Go to a communist country and live under communism. And then tell me what it's like. Okay? I hate communism with a rip-roaring passion. Kill a commie from mommy. That's what I got to say.